You'll take my life, but I'll take yours too. You fire musket, but I'll run it through.
Country is fighting another country. This is a war. We would rather have 10 fucking warriors than 100 sheep.
Stop! Friendly fire!
Grizzly, we might die today, so what, mate? We keep fighting.
And he's got a fucking dick on him like that. I can see where all the blood's come from.
As long as we can fight, we are going to fight. This is our mindset.
And we're gonna go back for more and we're gonna kick their ass. That's the fucking plan. So for us to prepare the team, the most important thing is to be positive, and to keep that spirit. And for me, maybe only 5% of my guys ever, and I always call us the 5%, have that mentality. You see a lot of guys that make out they've got the mentality and they're these fucking tough guys, but we see who's who in these situations. So the most important thing is to keep the tempo up of the mood. Yes, we're gonna fucking smash them, blah 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 blah. But in the back of my mind, I know how serious this is. I know how fucking hard it's gonna be. But at the end of the day, if they go where I go where they go. That's the motto. So further to the conversations that we had previous, these are some of the guys from my team, the 5% that I was talking about. If you can remember me saying, if Carlsberg did a machine gunner, this would be it. This is my fucking stud machine gunner. And this is my other guy, Callsign 50. These are some of my fucking most solid guys. So we're going to do a small conversation about them. So the most important thing, the preparation, is keeping the fucking morale high and keeping the spirit high. So we have banter in our teams. It's just non-stop. We're just dark humor, just laughing, always laughing, even when you're getting smashed with mortars, chased by drones. So to keep that tempo high. But deep down, everybody's nervous and everybody's scared. Luckily for us, we didn't have enough time to sit around and think about this because it happened so immediate. Right, you're being pulled out, right, you're getting there, right, let's plan it, bam, bam, bam. And now we're getting ready to do it. So the night before, me and my 2IC, we made a declaration to each other. You know, it would be him that would tell my son, I would tell his people, blah, 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 blah. If something happened, that would be. So now the reality is proper set in of what we're going to do. At this point, all guys are ready, but before you know it, the day goes like that. And before you know it is midnight. And like I say, it's an early infill, probably 4 a.m. So the preparation of the guys really is keep them busy. Where I've been so busy doing the recon and planning the mission, now you come back, everything they should have done while I was doing this, they're now doing now. So I'm a little bit angry. I'm shouting at the guys because they're down 0 in thermal scopes when that should have been done the day before. So the preparation is pre-combat check, what equipment they've got, and make sure it works, make sure the radios work, and then we're setting off. But to prepare the guys for this particular mission, I didn't really need to do a lot of it. We was always doing a lot of training in the last AO, but the biggest thing really is, like I keep saying, is keeping their morale high. That's the only preparation you can have for this, and being positive. I knew how fucking shit it was going out there on the recon, so I didn't, you know, the infill is shit, and getting to the position is even shitter. But I told them that step by step as we went there. I never said, oh, by the way, in 50 meters, we're crossing a 400 meter opening. I went first, especially with my battle buddy, I went first. And all I could hear him shouting behind me is, this is so fucking gay. All good?
Oh, this is gay.
But anyway, back to the mission. So all guys were prepared. We got up fucking super early. The truck's now turned up to take us. And now we start putting on our camo paint, getting our equipment on. And nobody's scared. I can see it in their faces. You can see it from a million miles away. Everybody's set for the fucking task that's in hand. But a lot of guys, it was their first like proper big assault, so they don't understand that in a minute fucking guys around them are going to be being killed and fucking losing body parts, because they would be scared, because deep down I was fucking petrified. So we've got on the trucks. Oh, sorry, before that we had a briefing with our commander. He gave me some extra antennas because I had to set up, I had to keep constantly in control, in communication with command. So fortunate for us, there was a tree line position that was about 100, 150 meters from where the assault was going to start taking place. So I could see everything, and I could set up a fire support position. So the good thing was we could get communication from there, but we can't get communication directly to the guys. So everything's got to go via me, and then I would give the information to the command. So we had a small briefing, had a couple of photographs, which was funny. And I still laugh at these photographs now to this day. One of my friends, the crazy machine gunner, put the cam paint on, and he just looked fucking brown. It was fucking hilarious. So yeah, we had a bit of a giggle, and then we get on the bus. Now we're serious. Now we're on our way in there. We jump off the bus. Everybody's got all their fucking, but everything is like, it just weighs a fucking ton. And you're trying to maneuver, the ground's wet, you're fucking falling over. We then get into the tree line, take some cover, and you've got to take a breath. You've always got to take a breath, spread out, reconfigure yourself, do a radio check, set the plan of how it's going to be, because we had 2 assault teams. Normally if there's 1 assault team, I'll go at the front, 2 assault teams, so I go in the middle. And then the first assault team leads off, keeping in radio communication. We had certain waypoints that we would say as we're maneuvering through. Guys were struggling a little bit because the terrain was fucking dog shit, and they got heavy kit on them. And we maneuvered up, and now we set up a staging area before we went to the staging area, because this is the vital bit. We had to maneuver over in 1s and 2s so they didn't see us, the enemy. And it was a lot of fucking guys and a lot of moving parts. So the first guy started maneuvering across, and then I made my way up. I maneuvered across to where I was going to be, and then the next guys took a little bit longer, but they maneuvered across sweet. Everything went fucking sound. But then when I got into this particular tree line, I did a small recon to the right flank, to what was in front of me, to the left flank, and I seen we had some good positions. I could put the machine gun, I could maneuver up and down, but most importantly, I could see everything. This is the right flank, and that's where the positions are, right there. I can visually see that part all the way up. That's the tip of the tree line there. I'm going to put my machine gun here, facing this way, and there's another position here that I can cover the whole side of this tree line going up, plus the grenade launcher. And there was two guys from another specialist unit that was on this tree line that gave me some information. The tree line could probably have 20 Russians in there, they said, which was a bit of a giggle. So I then immediately called the 2IC and a couple of the other guys over to have a small briefing. I gave them the information. I said there could possibly be some enemy there, but they don't know. But definitely there's blindages further back. So we anticipated enemy to be further back in the tree line, maybe 1 or 2 at the front as a forward OP. But at this stage, if there was, in our minds, the information we was given, it would just be like a small foxhole. So the guys understood this, and we had a whole plan set to when they was going to maneuver. One team was going to be on the left, one team was going to be on the right. So I then set up the positions. We had a whole set plan of when fire support was going to start smashing down on the positions. That was going to happen for 1 hour, and then after that, we then had another call sign out to send out, which would then start the assault. So we've then got in the foxholes. There was no, on my tree line, there was no blindages. It was just foxholes with polythene over the top and a small amount of soil. So when we got down, they said get in the blindages because of the thermal bomber that flies around at night, trying to find you and fucking kill you. So we got in there, and this is the first time I've heard drones is crazy as this, because normally if you're in a blindage, it's got logs on the roof and you can't quite hear what's above you, especially when drones are flying around. You have to go out to listen. But it sounded like something off of a fucking spaceship film. Like, that's the only way I could describe it, and you can just hear it, especially the bomber fucking going over you. So I was glad to be staying in the hole, and I certainly wasn't going out of the hole. And again, we was having small comms problems when we was inside this, because you have to check in every hour, so they know you're safe and everything's cool, and the radios are working. But I said to the guys, no one's sticking their fucking head out, especially after hearing what was flying around out there. So we immediately, I think we may have got through once or twice on the radio, but 3:45, I was immediately up. Got myself together. By this point, the sun, like, it was light, it was daylight out. So I made me and the guys a coffee. I got my jet boil, made us a nice coffee. Woke up like a fucking woman, reapplied my cam paint, reconfigured myself, done another small little recce, looked at the ground. And then the guys had to bring me over more ammunition because we was going to maybe put the machine guns down in where the staging area was. But where I was, it was perfect. So all the 7.62 ammunition got brought up to me, apart from the 7.62 for the other guy. So they came over. I just made sure they was okay. And now we're preparing for the assault. So at this stage, I was waiting. We had a set time for H hour, I'm going to call it. And call sign was Dynamo. So I was waiting to say Dynamo, Dynamo, Dynamo. This tune is, this is blue. Dynamo, Dynamo, Dynamo. Copy, 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 over. So now fire support's going over. There wasn't as much fire support as what the team expected. It was as much fire support as what I expected, because all the heavier stuff was going to go further back, and the smaller stuff was going to come forward because we didn't anticipate enemy this close to us. Plus the guys are here, so we can't start fucking firing 120 mortars down because, you know, it could possibly hit them. So I think the guys was a bit disappointed with the fire support, but for me personally, I understood the situation. So the fire support was going off. The guys now are ready. They're in their fire teams and they're ready to go. They're waiting for my command. And the command was Winston, Winston, Winston. So we're there. As soon as it finished, I think it was 0500 or 0600, I've gone Winston, Winston, Winston. Now the assault teams are now manoeuvring in. I was giving indirect fire, and my battle buddy was giving indirect fire whilst I came on the radio. So what happened, when I've gone Winston, 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 I've asked him to oil up the machine gun and give a couple more bursts on the right flank at the position they're manoeuvring in on the left flank. He's captured it on his GoPro. All of a sudden, all fucking hell breaks loose, and you just hear fucking like unreal amount of firefight. The PKM's going off. All of the guys, you can hear their silencers. They're now involved in a gunfight. Like I say, it was a lot closer than we anticipated.
We were in parallel tree lines. We weren't in the same tree line. So our tree lines were like this. But we advanced, just because of the shape of the tree line, we advanced a little bit further than where our guys got pinned down by the heavily entrenched Russians. So almost immediately from entering the tree line, we could hear the machine guns opening fire. We didn't know whether it was Grizzly. We didn't know whether it was Russians. But we knew something was going down. So shortly after, we started getting contact from our tree line as well. So whilst we're trying to listen in the radio, see what's going on with those guys, we've also got our own trouble to deal with. Once our contact had died down, we mainly concentrated on suppressing the enemy from moving further down the tree line, basically supplying more guys to the heavily entrenched Russians in front of where Grizzly and stuff was. We were calling in fire orders, like drones, 40 mics, which we were utilising, and blue with the rockets and the machine gun fire as well. Because of course, Grizzly and Eric, they couldn't really see outside of their tree line, but we could. So we had thermals, we could see where the Russians were. I personally potentially mowed down 3 Russians with use of thermals to stop them coming down and supporting the other Peters that were down there. But it was hell, carnage.
So then I'm shouting, I need direction, I need direction. At this point, I don't know that my 2IC's team has maneuvered across onto the right flank, because I told him to get through this brush, and then there was some trees here, use this tree cover, its cover to maneuver across onto the right hand side. At this point, something happened where they seen some mines, and at this point, he's seen that opportunity to maneuver across. He cleared a blindage, and they then set up on the right flank. As soon as they set on the right flank, these guys then took contact. And it was a bad situation. It was with a PKM, and the PKM machine gun was opening up and fucking smashing the guys, and I could hear it going off. And the other 2IC, which is my brother, Hakeem, I'm saying to him, bro, I need direction, I need direction. He then immediately, because all hell's broke loose, he's getting gunfire from everywhere, he's saying it's coming from 10 o'clock. Well, my worry was this position the Russians had just taken, they could start firing down from them as well.
The first contact, it was around 50-60 meters into the tree line we entered, which was invaded already by the Russians. They opened the fire at us from their blindage to the left. Then I turned to the left and sprayed them with my machine gun. You could hear their screams and panic, if I can say. Then the real fight began. I don't know how many exactly there were in that blindage, at least 5 of them. They answered to our fire with fire as well. They had a machine gunner set down a PKM. Then they grenaded us. Then we kept fighting. It was a sudden. I first made sure to suppress their fire, since I'm the machine gunner and I can apply the heavy pressure. So I spread pretty much all my magazine, all my pouch, let's say, 100 bullets, so I can suppress them. Then we had to regroup to a safer spot where they don't have a clear vision on us, so we can fight and pressure them down.
So I've immediately got onto the HQ. Papa was the call sign. I need fire concentration on Papa. I don't think I quite said it is fire concentration. Now I sound like some fucking div in a film. I don't know what I said. It definitely wasn't fire concentration. It was like, fucking, I need you to blow up fucking Papa. In this situation, when this is all going on, these are my friends. So when I'm on the radio, sometimes they have to tell me to stop, slow down, and calm down, because I'm and they don't understand me. So whatever I said at that point was to concentrate the fire support on to concentration Papa. That was the call sign for this area. They then started doing that, and then the situation calmed down just a tiny little bit. They were still in a gunfight, and Hakeem's told me, no, it's directly in front of us. And I'm saying, what is your waypoint? On our combat vision, he can now tell me the waypoint. He's then told me where it is, and now I know it's directly in front of them, and there's nothing we can do apart from try to call in drones, but I need to know the position of where they are.
Moving.
Fire on green 598, over. 598 and 601, over. I've now ran over, grabbed the machine gun. He's like that. Directly in front of us, and I can hear the PKM going off again. So I then just fucking open fire, and I'm trying to maneuver on the machine gun, but my helmet was obscuring my vision. So I fucking throw the helmet off, and I'm fucking firing it, and I couldn't hear a fucking thing afterwards. I probably unloaded about 2 or 3 belts down into that position, but there was another fire position over here where you could have a clearer line of sight. So I maneuvered across. When I got into this fire position, by this point, my adrenaline's hiked. I'm fucking scared to death for the guys. And they're telling me that one of the guys is now a casualty. But at this point, I just want to help them. So me worrying about the casualty was the most important thing, was try to suppress the enemy back to stop them. I don't know what's going on. So I wanted to lay down as much fire as possible. Then they've told me, now my 2IC has told me that they're taking fire from multiple positions in front of them. So now I'm getting a little bit excited because they're my friends and scared for them. So I then grab like 6 bull spike rocket launchers. I fire all of them immediately in the direction. Then I start firing the 40mm handheld grenade launcher, then get back to the machine gun. Everything stops now. Now we need to stop, look and listen. We need to understand what the fuck's going on in front of us. So I'm trying to get information from the guys. Most importantly, what happened to Soldier X, I'm going to call him. What happened to him? He's pulled back. He had blood all over him. He's injured quite badly. So my job now is to get him, to send a combat medic to him, to get him sorted out. So I said, where did he go? Don't know. So I've had to now send the combat medic plus the other guy who was helping me with the machine gun over to him to find him.
Sasha!
Yeah.
Here, come here.
Yeah.
You two, come here. You go across there, and you go left. He is in the base, left. You need to go and get him and extract him straight away, okay?
Okay.
Go.
So they've now gone over to try to find him, and they can't find him. He's in a blendage, and they don't speak Ukrainian, so it was taking them fucking ages to go and find them. So now it's just me and another guy, and I'm trying to relay the information back to HQ. He's trying to relay the information back with HQ. But then at this point, because we've been firing a machine gun, we've started taking a bit of indirect fire, but the 50 cals behind us have been firing. So these drones don't know if it's our tree line or the ones behind us. This has gone on now, I don't know, for probably about 2 hours. Now drones start coming above our position, and command have said, look, be careful, there's lots of UAVs above your position. And then the guy that was with me films the Baba Yaga, the vampire, above our position. We thought it was the friendly one because he's dropped some bombs over on this position. But we stopped, looked, and then we wasn't firing the machine gun, and then they started firing the 50 cals behind us. 60 seconds went by, then it moved over to there. What I later found out, they've then maneuvered over to that tree line, and the guys in that tree line thought it was a friendly drone. Boof, it dropped the fucking 60mm mortar down on top of them and killed four of the guys over there. So that could have been us. That could have easily been us. We was just lucky. So now I'm trying to find out exactly where the position is, where they're getting contact, the other fire team, and I can understand the situation that we're in a fucking real shit situation. We need to clear this position here, hold the line, and then regroup, because where they are and where this fire team is, there's a position here, they was taking contact from this position and contact from this position, and the gunfire was getting closer. So then I've said to my other 2IC, I've said, right, direct my fire into the position. When my fire comes in, I want you to, when you've directed it into where the enemy is, I'm going to fucking smash them, crawl up and start throwing grenades in on them. He said, okay. We laugh at it now, but it wasn't funny at the time. On the combat vision, the waypoint was saying he was on a particular number, but he was a bit more forward than what it said on there. So when I fired the machine gun, he was like, yeah, that's a good line, but bring it back 10 meters. So I maneuvered it, what I thought was 10 meters. I give 2 bursts, and he's just shaking because I got the headset on. No, you're shooting on us. Him and the other buddy said that they was taking gunfire straight through the center of them.
Whoa! Stop! Friendly fire!
What they told me happened at this point, I'm going to add, what they told me happened, when they've gone through into the tree line, they've immediately took contact. The big machine gunners burst about 4 fucking clips into the position. They've then taken cover. This guy got grenaded. He's taken shrapnel all over him. His whole face was covered in blood. He's just ran back in shock, in a state of shock. These 2 guys now have taken cover, and he's unloaded the machine gun. And now they've run out of ammunition for the machine gun. So they was involved in a fierce, horrible fucking firefight, but they still held their position and they still stayed there. They're fucking solid. Beyond all fucking means, they are solid. And they stayed in the fight until I told them to withdraw. But at this point, we've had one that he in shock ran off, covered in blood. He was wounded by the grenade. These 2 guys have taken shrapnel wounds. The big machine gunner took a piece of shrapnel on the back of his oblique and on the back of his trap. And if that was a couple of inches higher, that would have fucking cut his throat. He took that, and he took shrapnel to the legs.
So we got some heavy wounds in the beginning of the fight. Drone droppers grenaded us. I got a total of 7 shrapnels in my body. 1 is in my back, and I have several more in my legs. And the most serious one was near my knee, which broke. Later, I found out that the bone is broken, and we had to keep on fighting like that for another 7 hours. It hurts, but it hurts. First of all, it's the adrenaline, and secondly, you have another group to the right of you. You can afford to just play it like a dead animal and escape the battlefield. These guys rely on you, so you have to keep fighting. As long as we can fight, we are going to fight. This is our mindset.
They stayed there and covered that sector until the very last man on the right flank pulled back, and they still stayed there. I'm on the radio. I can't get on the radio because we was dealing with the casualty, and they stayed there and they pulled back right at the very end when we had no choice but to pull back. And that's the difference between the 5% and the non-5%. That's the difference between having big balls. But like Grizzly explained, he's not going to leave his brothers. He's not gonna pull back like some pussy, because they was relying on him, and Grizzly was relying on them. We was all relying on each other, and that's why you have to have people you can trust. And they did a fucking absolutely outstanding job. He took some severe wounds. Like I told you, the one on behind his trap was fucking the gash on it. You'll see a picture. If it was a couple of inches high, he'd be dead. It would have fucking done his throat. And they continued fighting right to the end. And that's something. And look at us now. We're still sat here. We're still regrouping and ready to go back. And these are brothers that you will carry with you for the rest of your life. You can't get this anywhere else. But at this point, they're heavily injured as well. So they're still in the firefight. I got a little bit ahead of myself there. They're still in the firefight. They're running low on ammunition. So I'm now saying, is take a breath now. Nothing. Everybody's scared on that position. The enemy, I mean, they're not coming out of these holes. So I know they're not going to try and start coming forward because of how much fire went down on them. So at this point, we're trying to regroup, understand the situation. And it's a fucking evaluation of how much ammunition we got, how many casualties we got. So then I'm saying, right, what's another guy, a call sign, I'll call call sign Y. What's his status? What's his situation? And he said, I don't know. He's unresponsive. And I've gone, what do you mean unresponsive? He's gone, I think he's unconscious. I said, look, you need to fucking crawl to him and see what's wrong with him. Okay, we're crawling to him now. So then they've crawled up to him. It then came over the radio, he's KIA. That kind of like threw me back a little bit. I was like, fuck. But at the same time, we haven't got time for emotion. We need to win the fight, and these guys need to carry on fighting. So me acting like a bitch over the radio is not going to happen. So I've gone, okay, no problem. I'm straight on the radio now to command. We have a KIA. They're saying who, how did it happen? I'm giving a brief description. But at the same time, I'm trying to stay focused on the situation.
Once we got wind on the radio that someone was injured, I honestly thought I heard it was Grizzly that was dead. Now, I've been with Grizzly since he came through the basic training. And I was quite a big shock to me and one of the other guys as well, because we were all quite close in training. But through the fog of war, these things happen, and eventually we realised, right, no, it's not Grizzly. So that kind of built our spirits a little bit, and then we just mainly avoiding the hellish amount of drones that were covering us at that point, because the drones were crazy. They were really crazy.
Fucking hectic.
We had drones landing, FPVs landing mere meters away, not exploding. Shrapnel? Shrapnel? This is enemy.
we're now trying to locate where the enemy is. We're calling in fire support from drones, FPVs and the bomber. And they came in fucking no end. Again, they nearly hit the guys, but that's not like through human error. That's because they don't quite know where the enemy is. We knew it was within this area, 3 big tree areas, bushes, whatever you want to call them, and they was concealed very well. So what was happening, we was smashing down in all of these areas, and the right flank fire team was giving down fire support, firing them with the grenade launchers. One of the assault guys was fucking smashing the further back positions. They was taking gunfire, returning gunfire. The guys in this fire team, balls of steel, FPV drones was trying to locate them. They shot a couple of FPV drones down. But the situation was starting to grow a bit concerning, because in a minute they're going to get located to where they are. So I said to my 2IC, I said, limit your return fire, because I don't want you to give your position away. All I'm concentrating on is clearing this position.
Fire right, Blue.
So I said to Hakeem, I said, look, you need to get up and throw grenades in there. He kept trying to crawl forward. They took a few more bursts of gunfire from the PKM. Then it went quiet. It went really quiet. We all regrouped. We're trying to set a plan. And I said to Hakeem, I said, I think we've got them. I said, I think we've got them, because we laid down more of the 40 mil. We laid down lots more machine gun fire. I said, I think we've got them. I said, we've not heard nothing. This must have been like an hour. I said, right, crawl up. I said, I'll give you fire support. Crawl up and just listen. So then I'm standing there listening on the radio, waiting for him to crawl up and listen. Now you can hear people moving, you can hear people talking, where nothing's been returned from this particular position from them, because, at this point as well, I said, and when you crawl up, get the guy that was KIA, I said, get his weapon, get his magazines, and give that to the machine gunner, and get him to use that weapon, because he was out of ammunition.
Once I crawled to him, I took his weapon and his magazines. Also his grenades that were left, throw them at their position and start shooting back with it.
So what happened, as they've crawled up, they've got the weapon and the magazines, they're set into position, and then he's gone, I can hear them, they're moving around, I can hear them. And the 2IC said, no, that's me. And he said, well, unless you speak fucking Russian, I can fucking hear them. I said, right, pull back. And I jumped down in and just laid two or three clips, fucking absolutely obliterated that part of the tree line. Tell Eric to copy me in. Tell Eric, get him on there and tell him to direct my shot.
Eric, come in. This is Kelly.
This is Denise.
Hakeem, correct machine gun fire. Correct the machine gun fire. Up the tree line.
And still nothing. They're still fucking there. So at this point, it's now settling in on their heads that we've got a KIA, there's one injured, these 2 guys are injured. So the 2IC said, why don't we pull back? I'll pull back to you, we'll regroup, we'll go up, we'll get the body, and then maybe try to assault that position. And I said, how? Like, how are you going to pull back, mate? Like, because I can see the position, like, it is a shitty situation. Then the suggestion was to come across this part of the field. I didn't like it, so I said no. So I'm on the radio to the command. They said no, we're going to send something heavier. To try to, because at this point none of it made any sense, but what we later found out, they was in a blindage. There was a blindage there. It wasn't a foxhole, it was a blindage. That's why we couldn't, they was just literally going in the cover every time. So at this point, I kept saying we need to take the position, and the guys kept trying. They kept trying. And then what happened, it started turning fucking hectic, because the guys, the enemy that was in this position, have now, in their fucking retarded brains, have realised that they're surrounded by my fire teams. It took them like fucking 6 hours because they're spastics. They're now calling in fire support from their drones. We thought it was a friendly vampire drone. And then I'm saying, so the vampire drone dropped down around, and my 2IC saying, no, he needs to go back. He's directing me to direct to the command. And the command's going, we haven't sent a vampire drone. It's still loading up, because they said it was going to take about 40 minutes to reload it with ammunition. And I was like, huh. And then we was like kind of having a bit of a giggle. Well, we're not going to turn down free help, like, because we thought it was friendly. Then it moved over to where the other fire team was, and started nearly dropping on them. Now, these guys in this position here got fucking smashed all day long. PKMs, small arms fire. They got grenaded. There was fucking mines on the ground.
I have GoPro footage, nearly getting shot in the face, and without even thinking, like, I could feel the round pass mere inches from my face, and it's just a case of boom, down, because I broke my cover. So this guy must have been watching me. So I break my cover, 1, 2, 3, zip, I'm down, spraying. My guys return fire after I give a fire indication. Target 12 o'clock, blah blah blah. They start firing. Once they start firing, I move my position and I give more fire again.
Oh! Contact! Contact 12! Fucking hell. Jesus.
This is how fucking close I was to getting fucking shot, man. I was facing this way though. Like I was right here. I could feel the heat coming past my fucking face, man. Fuck me.
Now they're getting smashed by fucking drones and FPVs. And they stayed there the whole time. They got more balls than anyone I've ever fucking met. They fucking stayed there, and they wanted to continue fighting. So I said to them at this point, guys, just hold the sector. I need to reevaluate. My main thing in my mind right now was, if they control the sector, I'm going to pull this fire team to me, then I'm going to take 2 guys over, we're going to grab the body of the KIA, and we're going to pull him back, and then we're going to regroup. Because at this point, we can't locate the position, we need more information on this situation, we're running low on ammunition, we've got injured, fucking 30% of the team's down, 40% of the, 20 or 30% of the team's down. So I then said, right, maybe move your fire team across to me. At this point, that bomber drone now is trying to find this fire team. I can see it maneuvering across, and there's Mavics and FPVs in the air, and this is all enemies. This isn't ours. So I said to them, right, maneuver across to me. We're going to give bursts with the machine gun into the tree line. What our biggest worry was when they was crossing, because we didn't know where the enemy was, as they was crossing across, they was just going to get dinged. That was my biggest worry. Because they couldn't maneuver. Every time they tried to maneuver up in this particular area to come around the back to take out this position, they was taking gunfire, and we didn't know where the gunfire was coming from. So it was a fucking shit decision that I had to make right at this point. It was either take a risk here or take a risk and keep them there, and then end up losing the whole team. So I made the decision to pull them back towards me. We started giving some bursts of the machine gun. So the 2IC came first, just so all the guys could see that it was safe and it was safe to cross. He's come fucking sprinting across. Now this guy is a Terminator. He's a fucking beast, a stud. He's come running across. He's got into me. But now, like, he's trying to catch his breath. Now I can see the other 2 guys pulling one of the other guys into cover over there. And I'm like, and they're screaming over the radio, and we couldn't understand what they were saying because he was speaking it in fucking Spanish. And then he calmed down, and we could see that the other guy was injured.
So they went first. I was with the MG4, the slightly smaller baby version of this. I decided to go at the rear, just in case anything. I could turn around and spray in case some pedos popped up. And I'm like, Joddy's fell. Like, oh shit, maybe wearing all his equipment, blah blah blah, tired. We need to get him up. And I come over to him, he's applying a tourniquet. I'm like, fuck. Right, so I end up having a look at his foot, and he's missing his foot. So we decide to drag him to the nearest piece of cover, which was probably 60-70 metres away, within total view of potential pedos, and drones above us, and friendly fire supporting us on our retreat, almost literally above us to our right hand side over our heads as well. So we drag him over. I noticed that obviously in the confusion and the hectic nonsense going on in his head. He's not applied his tourniquet correctly. He's applied it quite low. So given that we're still in the battlefield and it's care under fire, I quickly, rather than messing about with the tourniquet he's got on, I quickly apply another one high and tight. Drag him in a little bit further, and then that's where we decide what we're going to do. I assess Geordie. With the full amputation, I realised that, okay, the bleeding has stopped. The reason why I know this is because he was in a lot of pain, and he wanted to put his foot higher, which would also help alleviate the lack of the blood loss. So I put what remains of his foot on my bag, and there's very minimal blood dripping on my bag.
What we found out was obviously he stood on some kind of explosive, a mine or whatever. They're now trying to carry him before any fault, before any word. My two ACs just ran directly out there, grabbed him. Bear in mind, he's got all his equipment on. This guy is a big guy. Picked him up on the shoulder and ran back into the tree line. I'm trying to get everybody into the tree line because the enemy can see us now, and disperse. We're now rearranging the tourniquet because there was a tourniquet in his pocket and it just wasn't working. So we're trying to do that with this, and FPV drones exploded there. Well, it didn't explode, it kind of caught fire. So I don't know if it got shot down or if a jammer got it. But now I'm scared for everybody here because there's too many of us in this particular area. One mortar shell, we'd have all copped it. So I'm shouting all the guys to disperse. We then get the casualty. We manoeuvre him into like a small foxhole blindage.
Because you see the color of flag, and these guys said there is no evacuation. Okay, so I'm gonna open this. Okay. No, 1 second.
Now the job is everything. The only priority right now is we have to evacuate him.
And then we get a call through the radio that, okay, start working your way back. And I think in the confusion, all the rounds going off overhead, drones, Geordie somehow confuses that for we're going to come back for you. So I just assured Geordie that we were going to come back and get him. So at which point I was like on top of him, not like, but looking over like bro, like you're my bro. I'm not going to fucking leave you here. Like fuck that, you're coming with us. So we grabbed him, grabbed our weapons and as much equipment as we could. I made sure to grab Geordie's patches, which unfortunately still got lost somehow. And we evacuated them through the minefield, looking for more potential butterfly mines. And then 50, 60, 70 metres out maybe from the tree line, the big German stud Stahl just came running out of nowhere, grabbed Geordie up on the shoulders. Geordie's a big guy. Geordie weighs like 100 kilos.
That's exactly what I said.
Yeah, he's a heavy guy. Even 6 guys on a stretcher was a struggle. But Stahl, boom, out, picked Geordie up. And got him back for the last little leg, which I was shitting myself because I was like, what if they hit another fucking mine? I was like, fuck off. It's like, we've got it, it's fine. But no, he grabbed them. But that was all that was going through my mind at that time, was like more mines. Like all of us could have taken a mine at that point, or none. You never really know your luck. But thankfully, Stahl made it back without hitting another mine. And then the process of triaging Jordan with our medic started, and I decided to find a little bunker and take a breather, and just chill out for 10 minutes after what had just happened. He was very compass mentis. He was he was aware that he had hit a mine. He was aware of how much pain he was in. He wasn't screaming in agony or anything.
He fucking wasn't, was he? No, he was fucking solid.
But he knew what was going on. Like I said, the fog of war, you can mishear things. So he was scared. He was scared when he heard or somehow overheard that we were going to come back and get him, i.e. leaving him there on that position on his own. But once I confirmed to him that I was taking him with me, he was like, okay, cool. And then from that point on, I didn't really see Geordie much, just because we had new taskings, he was being dealt with medics. I don't want to get in the way. I'm not one of these people who, I need to get my phone out, take pictures, oh, look at me, I've got someone's blood on me, oh, I'm so cool, blah, blah, blah. I just retreated back, just kept my sectors, just made sure Russians didn't try start coming after us after we had retreated while Geordie was being dealt with in the blindage. So the other two guys now have pulled back. They're injured as well, but they don't give a fuck. I told them, guys, self-aid yourself. I need to deal with this. Just take cover and regroup. So that's exactly what they did. Again, no complaints, no problems. They're fucking solid, real brothers. So yeah, you're constantly aware of everything, and it's pure instincts. It's your training and instincts. So when people say they don't want to train, like, no one's above training, because these are the things that are going to matter when it comes to it. 100%. Muscle memory. Definitely. Yeah. Discipline. They're the things. This is the things that we have. We don't want to get up at fucking 5 a.m. and go for a run or a march. We don't want to do dry drills. It's fucking full of snow and -5 out there, but we do it because, like Grizzly said, it's discipline. Because when that moment comes, when that first rain goes down, when that drone nearly hits you, your brain switches off. Doesn't matter who the fuck you are, your brain switches off and you go into autopilot. And that's when that muscle memory of discipline, and it just takes over, and it really does. And all guys say the same thing. All guys that's ever been in that situation all say the same thing. And you don't think it till after, do you? It's fucking crazy. And without discipline, how can you go from being on the battlefield to going back on position again and again and again, just doing what you need to do? 100%. So then we're me and my 2AC are in the blindage, we're foxhole, and we're deciding on how we're going to evacuate him. The rule is you don't risk 4 guys to save 1 guy. We're in a real shit situation right now. It's come over the radio. Danger's still close, which means they're obviously hearing and intercepting radio calls. They know that we're in this tree line and they're anticipating for us to move.
Artillery. Yeah, it's hitting right. Yeah, it's hitting right up there.
Everybody take cover! Is Geordie in cover? It's obvious, like, you know, they know that we need to move this casualty. So they're just going to wait for us to cross across this fucking 450 meter fucking opening. And it's the worst possible situation to be in as to make that decision as a commander. What is it do we do? But he's our brother. So me and my 2IC was coming up with fucking retarded ways of how me and him could do it. One of the ways was we're firemen's lift him, and I was like, bro, we'll collapse after 100 meters. Because of the fear and everything else, we just wouldn't have been able to do it. So I kept going to the blindage and saying, like, what's his status? How is he? Yep, we've stopped the bleed. He's stable. He was telling me everything was okay. Just please keep him responsive. Please keep speaking with him.
Yeah,
okay?
I got you. I'll stay here. Keep working.
So at this point, we had a little bit of time. He looked okay. So I'm now in communication with the command. We're on the Starlink, so I'm speaking on signal. We're having conversations. My commander is now getting support for us in this tree line. The main focus for us was to get him across the opening. At this point, it was the shittiest situation I've ever been in. And then we've decided we'll wait for the situation to go quiet. The commander told me that he's predicted real heavy rain in the next couple of hours. Just stabilize him. When the heavy rain comes, it really stops the drones. So then we can use the opportunity to then maneuver across. And then the medic comes in, like in a bad way. Saying that he can't stop the bleed. And I was like, what the fuck? You told me you stopped it. Now, this has probably been now about getting close to 2 hours that we've been here now. And I'm like, what the fuck? And we've gone down and I can just see him. He's the colour was like a greyish kind of colour. And he was in a bad way. And he then told me that he's given morphine. And I was just like, and I couldn't even deal with this situation right now. All I was focused on was how are we going to move him. So I said to a couple of guys, right, you're going to have to come with us. And the Ukrainians offered to help us as well. The other guys were shell-shocked. And and just not up to the task of doing it. But the guys stepped up. My top guys stepped up to come and help us do it. We then manoeuvred the body across. I say body, he's a fat cunt. We manoeuvred Fat Boy across. He weighed heavy as fuck, and it was started to rain now as well, so all the ground was fucking wet. But we got across, and the Ukrainians came running out of the tree line up there. No plate carriers, no helmets. They didn't give a fuck, and they helped us pull us out of it. It was like a ditch, 45-degree angle, and they took over and got them across the last 100 meters. And I was like, that solid. We then get into the tree line where our medics was waiting for him. And then when we get in that tree line, we're trying to maneuver him, and I'm like, stop. He's still bleeding, and the medic's fucking shouting. I said, just stop the fucking bleed. Because they was telling me they couldn't stop it because his legs have swelled up too much. But the medic put a tourniquet closer down to the wound, and it stopped it immediately. But at this point, it looked like he wasn't going to make it. And my 2IC was like that. With everything that they've just been through, massive firefight, the build up to it, now this, I could see he was burned out. So he just stopped where we was, and I carried on with our brother. And he was grey, and you could see there's a point where the casualty just about goes into hypothermia, and when he goes into that, there's not really, you can't really pull him back. You can't stabilise him after that. And he was right on that point. So we're now carrying him down, but the whole time, the only way we can describe it, I'm like fucking Donkey from Shrek and Donkey, just talking shit to him the whole way down to try to keep his mind focused. And I kept calling him a pussy and telling him to suck it up. We're from the same regiment back in the UK. I was telling him light infantry ain't fucking pussies, liven up. It's quite funny, I like laugh to it now, but it wasn't funny at the time. So at that particular point, they're telling me to reach them on signal. So I've now got to find a blendage to go and speak to the command on signal. This will be to do with the exfil. So at this point, we take him to the CCP blendage that we had, and I left the medics to do their job. I've now gone forward, find a signal, Starlink to use signal, and I'm speaking on signal. Everything's okay. You've got your main priority now is your team. We're not going to leave the KIA there. We're going to have to come back for him, but let's get the whole team off. Let's regroup. It was the best decision to make from the command. So I just said, okay, no problem. I said that he's not in a good way. And then at that point, when I've gone back, he was back to normal. It was like, I can't describe it. He was just back to normal. He was literally this close to dying. And then he's back to normal, and he's in speaking his fucking Geordie accent. But I made a joke to him when I got in there because they chopped his trousers down, and he's got a fucking dick on him like that. And when I've gone in there, I said, "Fuck me, Geordie." I said, "I can see where all the blood's come from," and he started laughing. And then I tried to get him out of because we've got to get him to the exfil spot immediately, which is about 2 kilometers away from where we was. We've already walked about fucking 5. And like I say, this particular bit of everything was the hardest thing out of the whole thing I've done in this country. Everything I've done, this is the hardest thing I've ever done, was moving this casualty.
So we had to go through something like 300, 400 meters of potential open ground after we've just assaulted Russian positions. The sky is crazy with drones. That was probably the most taxing because up and down in the open, threat of drones, so your adrenaline is just bump, and as soon as you get to the tree line, it's dumped.
Yeah.
And then you've still got 4.5 kilometers at that point to take them out. But yeah, the initial first couple 100 meters, that was probably the toughest.
Yeah, it was the toughest.
How to say, this is what discipline is for. Keep going and keep going, no matter what, and embrace it. I can recap a situation when I was left there in the tree line. Me and Eric keep fighting from our side with the Russians. We're pinned down by drones, the Russians shooting in front, and to the back of us we have booby traps and mines. And Eric looks at me, he gives me that look and says, "Grizzly, we might die today." And I was like, "So what, mate? We keep fighting."
And this is the reality. This is not
the
a
reality
game.
mate.
Yeah, and this is no big talk. This is real talk from the guys. And they're not trying to hype this bullshit up. Like this is real talk, and not all guys can do this. And this is why I said previously, if you're going to come over here, listen to this, because this is a real story here. This isn't, and we're fucking still here and we're going back for more. We've not had food, we've not had water. We was involved in that fight for around 7 hours. The build up to it, at this point I was just fucking done.
When your life is on the line, every minute seems to slow down. It's difficult to explain. You look at the clock and then you look back 1 hour's passed and you're like, well, that was quick, but at the same time you can remember every single minute, which seems to slow it down. For me personally, that's how it felt. And
they said there's another 2 kilometers. I was like, pfft. So I'm trying to get him out of the blenders. Only one person can stay on this end of the casualty because of how it's like an L shape, and we can't get him. We can't get him around. And then he's tried to stand up on his good leg. He's like that. Hour, man, let me get out. And it lifted my morale. At this point, I was about to crash. And he'd seeing his spirit, seeing how strong he was, seeing how fucking solid he was. He's just lost his foot and he's trying to stand up on his one leg. Yes, let's go. So we picked him up. We managed to get him out. And now we're carrying him the last little bit. He's saved. That's the most important thing for us as a team. He's saved. He's back to normal. I said, bro, can you speak to the guys on the radio for me just to lift their morale? He said, yeah, of course. So I'm speaking to the guys. I said, he's going to be fucking fine. He's going to make it. Everything's cool. He's stable. And then Geordie starts speaking to him on the radio and he's gone, yeah, listen, lads, when you go back down there, make sure you find my boot because I fucking left my boot there. And I just started pissing myself. Real good spirit, and it lifted the guys up to this, and I still laugh at that hard to this day. So yeah, we've now evacuated the casualty. My next concern now is to regroup with the guys. I need to speak with HQ to make sure that that's the situation before I can give the command to pull them back, because we're in the military. It's not my decisions on what's being made, but as soon as I got the green light to pull your guys back, I pulled the guys back to the CCP area. And we use that blendage to regroup. It might not be that night or it'll be the next night. And then you kind of lie there and think, fuck. But that particular moment, I could see that my 2IC was not distressed, but I could see he wasn't himself. And I could see, did he make the right decision? Did he not make? I could see he was beating himself up because I've been there. And I could see he was beating himself up. But I told him straight, like, I made the decision to pull you back across that field. It was my decision, your idea, but I made the decision. Because I could see he felt guilty for what happened to Geordie. But at the end of the day, like, all of them could have got killed. If they stayed where they was, they could have all got killed. It could have gone another way. So you can't reflect on it like you made a bad decision. You made the decision based on what was in front of you at that particular time. So the next morning, he was fine. Me and my machine gunner, we're going to show some pictures of the size of him. He's a fucking unit. He calls me the dwarf. I call him the cave troll. He's fucking massive. And in that blendage, he kept fucking lying over me and fucking moving diagonal. So I couldn't wait to get out of there at 4 a.m, I can tell you that. So we then had to get all of our equipment and exfil off. That was a mission because it was probably, I don't know, another 5 kilometers back to where we had to go with everybody's equipment, everybody's morale's on the floor. So to do this was fucking tough. So we've then exfilled, got down to the position. Guys are a bit pissed off. They feel like we didn't complete the task that we were supposed to do. We've got a KIA, we've got casualties. But for me, the reality is, we went and did the fight. For me, we went and did. We was up against a larger force with greater resistance than we anticipated, and all guys stepped up like fucking warriors, and they did it. It didn't go to plan of how we wanted it to go, but no fucking assault does. This isn't some Steven Spielberg film where everything looks sexy. Nothing goes fucking correct. You, at the time, feel like a spastic, and at the end, you feel like a spastic. Even if you complete the mission, it's just not like a film. That's my point to that. So all guys was a little bit crashed. Like I say, we had a KIA. Like, it's not fucking cool. My next job in my mind is we got to go back there and get him before they start, because they are 100% going to counterattack where we just assaulted. 100%, because especially the soldiers that are there, they're going to want to do that immediately. And the command can see this, and that's why they're tasking us to immediately go back out. So by the time we get everybody off a position, I was the last man off. I step out of the armored tank. And as I'm stepping off, my commander grabs me, well, fucking hell, Blue, blah, 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 blah. You know, he's happy because, you know, he understands the situation. We could have all been fucking killed. So we have like a bit of a moment, touch each other's asses. That didn't happen. But then he said to me, 24 hours, 48 hours max, you need to be back out there. And I'm like, that. The fuck? But I'm seeing the guys in front of me and I just thought, oh, God. Because I know that they're not going to be happy. They want some rest, time to regroup. But we got to go and try and get our brother. But we've got a lot of casualties as well at the same time. So at this point, my job was just get them back, let them relax, and then speak to the commander. And again, we have to go and try and get our fallen brother, because otherwise they're going to push. And if they push past that, and as well, these fuckers are set up ambushes. They're set up grenades underneath the body. So we got to go there, and before they can, you know, make any more forward action. So, you know, I understand the situation. But because we had a lot of casualties, and some of the guys, they wanted to break contract after this because they come to this country and they want to be the fucking bad man and they want to be the Call of Duty operator. But when it's time to, there's a saying I've seen on Instagram as it goes, everybody wants to be a gangster until it's time to do gangster shit. Yeah. And every time in this country, this fucking happens. They all come over here wanting to be that big fucking tough guy, but really, they want to be a pussy, hide somewhere, shoot a couple of guys and go home. But when you're actually involved in it, they piss their pants. So guys refused to go back out with me. So it was me, the other guys was injured. When it was time to try to go back out and get the body, it was me and one of the guys that was involved in the assault. Solid as fuck, 50, love him to death. Never skips a beat. Wherever I go, he goes. He stepped up with me, and the two young officers who were solid as fuck, they stepped up as well. But too much was moving around out there, and we got told is the risk is too great to try to go down at that particular time, because they was moving down. The Russians were moving down. For just the small amount of guys that we had, it would have probably been suicide. Like, so at this particular time, we just had to we was told to hold the sectors. Two guys stayed on a position out there, the two officers. We came back to regroup, and then it was our time to start rotating out to position. That's the main part of the assault that we did there. The build up to it, I can't stress enough that my team didn't have any time to sit there and have a massive plan and preparation, because in this war there's none of that. So when guys think they're going to come over here and it's like something they've had in their previous army, what I would tell guys, you're not coming to an urban fucking terrorist fucking fight. You're coming to where a country is fighting another country. This is a war. This isn't a fucking battle. This isn't an operational tour. This is a war. And he's fucking fast moving all the time. Fast moving. His reality is a fucking bus with no brakes. So this is the reality of how this war is. So a lot of guys, I hear it from every fucking unit, every squadron, from international soldiers that come over here, and they complain, and it's always somebody else's fault, and it's always somebody else is never their own particular, okay, I didn't expect it to be like this. So my point to this whole little statement is, if guys are coming over here and you want to be that badass and want to do direct action, listen to the stuff that I've just told you, understand the situation. And for me, especially in my team, our squadron, we don't want pussies. A saying was said last night, and it's said all the time. We would rather have 10 fucking warriors than 100 sheep. All right, we don't like. So if you want to come over here and be in this war, understand it's fast, hard, aggressive, and high probability that you could be killed, not just by fighting a Russian, but by artillery and FPVs. Okay, and this war is nothing like how you would expect it to be. So many of my friends have died on this mission. Even after that assault, a good friend of mine died, and it fucking sucks. It is not cool. And seeing your friend have his foot blown off, even that's not cool. Hearing your friend screaming is not fucking cool. And knowing your guys are in a position and your brothers are in a position and they could all be killed immediately, and all of the stuff that I've just said, you need to understand and think about it before you come to this war, because all of the above is real. And this particular assault, yeah, cool. But in any position in the Ukraine army, in the Ukraine war, you've got to get to the position. And trying to get to the positions, you are getting smashed by clusters, fucking grads, mortars, tanks, and drones. Every time we get stalked by drones, all the fucking time, and it fucking sucks. So be aware of all of the above. And the main reason and main focus why I wanted to do this video was not to make myself sound like a badass, because I'm not a badass. It was more so for people to get an understanding of what this war's about. There's nothing sexy about it. You don't look like an operator, and it's fucking real. So that was the main focus of why I wanted to give you an insight of what me and my team was up against and what we're continuously to be up against. And I learned a lot from that assault. I learned a lot for being in that particular area of operations. And we've come away, regrouped, made a bit of a strategy, conditioned the guys, trained the new guys, and we're going to go back for more, and we're going to kick their ass. That's the fucking plan. I want to conclude this video just by giving a small tribute to the fallen guys that died on this current mission. Is only a small tribute. I could stand there and speak about these guys all day. We're currently on operations at the moment. Most of the guys are on combat missions. This was my idea to do this, to pay tribute to them, mainly for their families, so the families can see what we thought of them, some of the memories that we have of them. And yeah, that's the reason why I want to do it. Massive mark of respect to these guys. I'm going to start with Sylar. He had that self-determination that I've not seen in any guy that I've seen over here. He would fucking beat himself up to make himself better. Every fucking day he would try to make himself better. And that, for me, the respect that I had and most of the guys in the team had for this man was fucking like that. I took Sylar on his first assault, and like I said, I seen the fear that he had in his fucking face before he went on that assault. But it's what you do when you're fucking scared. And that man, he stepped up. He pushed past that fear. And not very many people can do that. And he was determined to go into that tree line and kill every fucking single one of those people in that tree line. And that's not me giving it some kind of hyped up big talk. That's what I seen. It was devastating. Devastating loss when Sylar fell. Like I said, he went into that tree line, knowing the risks, and he fucking went anyway. For me, massive, massive respect. And for all my guys, they all say the same thing. Massive, massive fucking respect and a massive loss. I'm now going to move on to my 2IC. Stahl was the most selfless, professional soldier you could ever meet. He would always put every fucking man in his fire team before anyone. He would always fucking lead from the front, and no matter wherever I went, he would always be with me. He was the most solid fucking guy, most loyalist guy. When he died, fuck me, it was devastating for absolutely everybody. He would always help everybody in the team. If somebody was a little bit weaker, or if I would be calling somebody a spastic, he would be saying, nah, but listen, Blue, blah, blah, blah. The geezer was absolutely solid. After that mission, after that assault, it was our task to go out and support this one particular area to stop them from pushing. He was pushing heavy, heavy, heavy. And all he could say to me when he was on that tree line before he died was how much help that we are giving the Ukrainians on this position. There was only 3 Ukrainians holding this position, and our help is going to help them. And that's one of the final things he told me before he died, and that stays with me all the time. Me and my team speak about him all the time. Memories that we've had with him, funny stories that we've had, and we're continuously laughing of how proud we are to call him a friend and a brother. Like I said, I want to pay tribute to his mum, to show his mum how much we fucking love Stahl, and how much respect that we had for him. And I'm going to conclude that on Stahl, because like I said, I can carry on and speak about him all fucking day. I'm now going to come on. This one's quite fresh, this one's quite raw. Currently we're on operations right now. Since you've been watching that video, we've been moved and we've been doing current combat missions. But brother Grizzly fell. And this is again another massive, massive fucking blow to the team. Grizzly, the only words any of us can describe Grizzly is he is by far the craziest tap soldier we've ever fucking had. Fearless, didn't give a fuck about nothing, and always had a smile on his face when danger and fucking craziness was there. I remember, and we was maneuvering through a tree line and we started getting smashed by artillery, and they was landing that close. I could see the fucking black smoke and hear the shrapnel. And I looked round, and all I could see was him standing there with his Viper hood, thinking he's an invisible cloak, not even lying down on the ground, and just laughing. And I was like, this guy's nuts. When Stahl fell, it was my task to go out, get Grizzly off the tree line, because he was on the tree line with Stahl, and then try to get Stahl's body out. We tried this for 3 consecutive days. And in that whole time, Grizzly was injured and refused to stay back. He stayed with us every fucking time we maneuvered through that tree line, and he stayed with us every fucking day. And then we went to go out there a final time, but by this point the Russians are fully pushed in this area. And then when we came back from this, I ordered Grizzly to go to hospital. We then find out Grizzly's got a fractured bone in his leg. Like I said about selflessness with Grizzly, and the craziness of him when he's 20 meters from a PKM position, and that's fucking spraying down on top of him and on top of Hakeem, and the fucking Baba Yaga vampires coming in and dropping 80 mil fucking mortar shells, and they never moved. They never fucking moved, because discipline, respect and trust and fearlessness. And that's the biggest act of bravery I've seen since I've been in this fucking country. One of the biggest things in this war, it's not getting chased by drones, it's not fucking being shot at, it's not being fucking blown up, it's losing your friends. When you lose your friends, it sucks, and it's hard to get over it. But what do? Do you quit? No, the fight fucking continues. All volunteers, not just these guys, and I'll say this about all volunteers that come to this country and fight, every time, for me, they're not forced into this war. They come here as volunteers, and they do this because it's something. Most of these guys do this because it's something they believe in. And every time they put their equipment on, every time they put that plate carrier on and put their feet on the back of that truck, they could be fucking killed, and they fucking continue doing it. I have massive respect for all of these guys. Everybody that was in my team, everybody that went on combat missions with me, I have massive, massive fucking respect for them, because they risk their fucking lives, and they do it for, like I said, they volunteer to do it. They're not forced to do it. And that for me is a massive, massive respect. And a massive honor. And these guys, especially these 3 guys, they paid the ultimate sacrifice. And I, for one, will never ever forget the sacrifice they made, and neither will my fucking team. And I just want to finish this by saying, up the bastards, up the Athena, we'll never forget you, and the fight continues.